Hi everyone, I'm Fert and welcome to my video. This video I'm going to show you how to change the engine in a mini ATV from an engine that has a bottom mounted starter to an engine that has a top mounted starter. Not as simple as it sounds, but hang with me. I got a slideshow to begin with to fill you with a lot of good information along the way, and at the end we got some welding to do. Now, what you're looking at here is a little 70cc. They went from like I think 50 to 110. That they all looked just like this. It was basically the same size, but they had different, pistons. And on this particular motor, you can see the starter is on the bottom of the engine, right? You can buy these, but they're expensive. They're hard to find. This is an older style. They're out there, but you don't pay twice as much for them as you would to buy the new style engine that's got the starter mounted on the top of it. This is the 110 that I'm going to be putting in this little quad runner right here. Actually, the picture has the motor in it. So if you've got a little Japanese, Chinese quad similar to this one, this is a 2005. This should help you out a lot. This is the quad runner without the body on it, so you can get a good picture of what I'm talking about here. Here's the old engine in it. It's a 70cc. Has the starter down here on the bottom. The problem that I ran into, one of the problems that I ran into, was this gas tank up here. And I'll show you a little later on in the video of me actually doing the modifications that I needed to do to put a new tank on that. Here it is with the new engine in it, with the body off of it. And you can see the starter kind of fills up all that empty space up there at the top. So this is where you're going to run into problems putting this thing back together. If you try to use that old gas tank, it's not going to fit. The two engines I got pictured here together to show you that these things are pretty much identical other than the location of the starters on them. Here's your mounting holes. The gears come the same. There's, I think, 14 teeth in the gears to drive the rear wheels. They're identical motors, and they'll bolt right up to that frame there. Here, a picture of kind of what it looks like trying to put that old gas tank on there, and you can't really see, but there's probably a ½ inch difference between the mounting holes on the frame to the mounting holes on the gas tank. So it sets up a lot higher, and even if you tried to mount that tank on there, you're not going to be able to fit body over top of that tank and be able to bolt it down to that frame. So like I said, that's got to be changed. The old gas tanks look like this right here. You've got the mounting holes, vertical position. The tank that I replaced it with is a metal one, and these come on the new 110s with those motors on them, but the frames are a little bit taller to accommodate for that starter being where it is on it. But still, they use a lower profile tank like this one right here, and you can find them on eBay. They're easy to find. There's really no part numbers for any of this stuff because it's all universal and they're all pretty much the same. Now, another thing you're going to have to change on this is your intake manifold for your carburetor. On the left-hand side, this one right here, this is the old manifold that went on the engine with the bottom mounted starter. It's just like a U-shaped 90-degree. The carburetor bolts here and it shoots straight out the back with no obstructions. The one that you're going to need to use is kind of S-shaped like the one over here on the other side. Like I said, there's no real part number for this thing. You'll just have to kind of look for that style. Make sure it's for 110. Also, you want to switch out that carburetor. I recommend it. You can use the PZ19, but the one that I went with is the one over here on the left. It's a PZ20. You can see the difference between the two mounted on that intake manifold. Now the manifold, going back to that, has these markings on it with a 43. The first two letters are a little different on them. I don't know what difference that may make, but both of them you can see are S curved, and they both look to be the same intake, but this is the best setup to use if you be switching. They have this choke on the side of it. You can still reach your hand up under there and use it. It eliminates the one that's up there on the left hand side there by your brake, but the carburetor fits a lot nicer. The PZ19 still hit up here at the top against the bottom of the tank, and you can see the tight fit that it has right there against that manifold. So you can use it, but your best bet, just go with this model over here. The wiring harness on it, really not a big deal. When I was looking around for one, you could find the ones that had the same plugs that yours has. The one that I ended up getting was different. It had 5 individual wires that came out with the bullet connectors. And I was getting ready to change the connectors on my old wiring harness. And I thought, for what little bit it was, I just went ahead and put a whole new harness on it with all the electronics for $35. I mean, it really wasn't that much. So it was just a matter of just plugging everything in. Okay, a lot of good information there. If you made it this far, we're going to take a couple of steps back, and I'm going to show you the biggest challenge is mounting the gas tank onto the frame of this thing. So let's go ahead and get our hands dirty and jump right in there. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to mount this gas tank on there. I'm going to have to probably do some welding, but I need to mount this thing on there to where I can get this thing back on the road again. So let me get started with that. I've taken some measurements. I've got a good idea of the type of bracket that I'm going to be putting on the front of this thing. I'll get that, and then I'll see where the back of it lands, and then I'll work on making a bracket for that one. So let me get started on that for you. Okay, here I got the body back on the frame, and I've got the gas tank up pretty close to where it's going to come out at. I've measured from there to there, and it's right around 2 1/4 inches. So I'm gonna need a bracket that's 2 1/4 inches tall. There you can see the old one, where the old gas tank was. And then I'm about a 1/4 inch away from the steering column. So I'm gonna make me a bracket about 2 inches tall, get the front, and then anchor it down, and then I can see what I can do back here. Okay, here's the little bracket that I came up with. It's kind of simple. It's actually similar to what they've got on the newer 110s. The newer 110s have a frame actually that comes way up here. But anyway, this It's going to sit right here, about like that. I'm gonna get my welder set up, put a few tack welds on it, and give it a try, and then we'll see what happens. All right, I'm gonna let that cool off a little bit, and then set everything down on there and see how it lines up. And if everything's okay, I'll go ahead and weld that down, and then work on that piece in the back. Okay, here's the second little piece that I've made to hold the back of the tank, and it's going to go, it's kind of twisted. It's because this thing's kind of twisted, but I'm going to go ahead and put a bolt in that and hold it and get my tank right where I want it to be, and then I'm going to tack it to this tube that's going across from the two sides. The old one used to come out like that, so this one's just going to be pretty much like that, just something to hold the back of that thing. Let me get that thing tacked on there. There we go. New gas tanks on there. There it is, mounted in the front. I still gotta weld that some more. I forgot all of it. I've already put the welder away. I'll have to get it back out. And then there's the bracket that I put on the back of it. It's some pretty heavy steel, so I mean it should be pretty solid. And then if we could see up inside here, you can see that there's plenty of clearance for the throttle cable now. It can come out the side here, and then it's going to route up alongside the gas tank and then up. So next we'll throw this throw the body on it. And then back here, these holes are lining up okay. My holes down here are lining up okay. My bolts in here line up okay. And on this side, they're pretty close. And there's enough flex in this thing to where I can kind of move it a little bit. Now the only thing is that the tank is tight against the very front of this, but that shouldn't be any problem. I mean, I didn't have it on video, but what I was able to do to fix the problem was loosen up that bolt back here on the back of the tank, take a big hammer and a steel rod and stick it in there on against the close to the top of that front bracket that I put in there, and gave it a good smack and knocked it back just a smidget, just enough to fix everything. All the holes lined right up, and it just worked out perfect for me. But anyway, there you have it. All back together, up and running, ready for the grandson to jump on it and take it back out into the mud and have himself a blast with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Use the support. And go watch another video if you get a chance. Lots of good ones up there. And have a good day.